Thank you. As far as I'm concerned, the economy is not working. Nigerian economy is not in green. Nigerian economy is not in amber. Nigerian economy is in red. The only thing is, it is not yet in crimson. That is it. I have reasons.
You want the other?
In a country where the monthly minimum wage of a citizen cannot buy a 50 kg bag of rice, that economy is in trouble. In a country where the minimum wage of citizens cannot buy a 50-liter diesel jerrycan of diesel, quote me that country is in trouble. So we are living in a country where the variables are wrong. They are not working. We are on the wrong trajectory. I've analyzed it from an engineering perspective. We are wrong. I analyze it as a chartered accountant. We are wrong. I've analyzed it as a tax practitioner and a chartered tax analyst. Nigeria is on the wrong track. And we are talking about media moderation now. You are seeing a country where strategic industrial sectors are collapsing. Strategic domestic sectors are collapsing. Strategic commercial sectors are collapsing, and somebody will tell me the economy is working. The economy is not working.
Okay.
And we better get it right. You're talking about a you're talking about a country where between 1965 and 1989, the then generation of leaders that we felt were illiterate conceives the idea of having at least 4 refineries. As a practicing petroleum engineer and a gas engineer from 1990 to now 2024, you're talking about 34 good years. The generation of leaders that we have didn't deem it fit to maintain what they inherited. They didn't deem it fit to construct a single refinery. Do you expect anybody to tell you that we're going to run into energy crisis? You don't need anybody to tell you that we're going to run into energy crisis. Look at the institutional investors that are in Nigeria, especially the multinational companies. They are running away because of business climate hostilities. And somebody will tell me, with my engineering knowledge, with my accounting knowledge, that they are divesting. You can't tell me that. They are not divesting. They are running away because we are experiencing business climate hostilities. It is only in Nigeria that you see people you call leaders, they cannot tell you the difference between commercialization, privatization, liberalization, or even deregulation. This is the country we belong to.
Okay, but
so it's not working.
It's not working.
It's zero.
So for you, it is not working. Let us hear Dr. Peter side.
I will give the way forward.
Yes,
I will explain.
Let's see. How do we describe it?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me. Is it working? Thank you very much. My understanding, first, let me confess that I was conscripted to this panel by Dr. Killer, and truly I was scared. You know, he's a killer. If I don't comply, you know what can happen. When a killer invites you and you refuse, you turn it down, you will do what killers do. Okay, that I should collect that microphone.
Oh, you want the microphone? Okay. Is that working now?
Okay.
He was saying bad things. Maybe that's why.
All right, so
he was saying bad things about.
And if you know Magnus Onyibe, I'm sure you listened to Dr. Ruben Abati and Professor Edosa that he's associated with arresting people. He arrested me. So then, my understanding is that we should talk about President Tinubu's economic policies, development strategies, and the impact. We cannot, and let me be straight up, and I'll say 2 things. The first is that I am not an economist. My only claim is that I am a street economist.
Well, that's right. There you
So
go.
it's not only Magnus Onyibe that is leading from the street. I am on the street. The second thing I like to confess is that I'm a member of the APC. But for the purposes of this conversation, I practice what is called rational detachment. I'm going to detach myself from APC and look at things objectively.
No, stay there.
Now, talking about President Tinubu's economic policies, two are outstanding or preeminent. Nobody can deny the fact that he's focused on reforms. And two are prominent, like I said. The first one is the removal of the fuel subsidy. The second is the floating of the exchange rate or unification of the exchange rate. Unfortunately, these two key policies have produced unintended consequences. And I'm not a specialist in giving bad news. But the truth of the matter, I don't know if you call this bad news, is that the two policies have produced negative unintended consequences. And I'll just point to some of the impact of these policies. Reforms typically are supposed to produce better outcomes, improve outcomes that will impact on the lifestyle and the living standard of the people. But in this specific instance, in the current instance, now, unfortunately, we have consequences that are not cheering, that anyone is not excited about. And it's not about intentions. The intentions may be right. Today, we are facing inflationary pressure. At the time the president came to power, inflation, month-to-month inflation, year-to-year inflation in the neighborhood of 22%. Today is 33.2%. Now, food inflation was in the neighborhood of 20-something%. Today is 40%. What it means is that certainly it's going to impact on the living standard of the people, the average Nigerian. Of course, if you look at the other consequences, the issue of foreign exchange. Today, with 30,000 naira, you can buy by far less. And I was arguing, I had a series of engagement with labor leaders when my last column talked about the minimum wage, and I said numbers versus value. And I had a typical argument with labor leaders, and I said, listen, I support a minimum wage increase outright. Clearly, I make that position clear. But let's also begin to emphasize productivity and value, not just numbers. If you increase minimum wage today to 1 million naira, and your 1 million naira cannot buy what 30,000 used to buy or what 30,000 could buy a few months ago, you've got nothing. And so as we push for minimum wage increase, let's push for two other things. Can government take critical steps to reduce cost of living? And can government take other steps to enhance productivity? Let's have productivity per unit justify the increase in minimum wage. If we don't do that, we'll have cyclic inflation and we'll continue to be on the same spot without making any progress. Meanwhile, we're talking about numbers but not values. So on the Tinubu tubonomics, let me take the word of tubonomics. Let me take the word of Magnus Onyibe. You know, he's been credited with the capacity to coin words. We have challenges. That's the truth. The policies are producing unintended consequences. And like I said, it's not about nobility of intentions. Yes. Perhaps the conception, the implementation, or the execution, there's something we're not getting right. We need to review it. It's not enough to buy ideas or pick up ideas, hook, line, and sinker. We should also look at the context. Every policy policy can be efficient dependent on the context. The context might change. If we execute a policy in Singapore and execute the same policy in Nigeria, they are certainly not going to produce the same effects. They are not going to produce the same impact. And so, in summary, because I know that other panelists have contributions to make, my position is that the intentions may be good, but it is not producing desired positive results. So let's review the economic policies and make it fit for purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Obey.
There's no doubt that we're going through hell. I don't want to bring the temperature down a bit because Comrade is so heated, and if we have a lot of heat, we also need some light. There's no doubt we're going through hell, but my question is always, because the general saying is that when you're going through hell, keep going.
Keep going.
But my question always is, are we going through it, or are we going deeper into it? And The story is that we are going through it, that the sunlit uplands are there. And when Magnus invited me onto this panel, I said that, well, I don't know what Tinubunomics is. I can pronounce it, unlike many other people here. I can pronounce Tinubunomics, but I don't know what it is. And I'm not an economist. So I guess that I'm here to be the idiot member of... no, I'm not even a street economist. I'm here to be the idiot member of the public who is at the receiving end of Tinubunomics and any other economic... I'm not sure that actually we've got to a stage where we can call anything Tinubunomics.
Okay.
We're only a year into experiencing whatever it is that the president is doing, and I don't know whether it will amount to a thing. But I will say this, that there are two things that I want to say, and I'm repeating myself, but we don't want to be trudging through hell and thinking that we're all trudging through it together, and then we see that some other people who have said, okay, you go on ahead, we are following behind you, and then we discover that they actually have a private jet to parachute them out of the hell that we are going through. And that's why, to me, I want to see my leaders suffering with me and giving up something. We're not seeing that. The other thing is that if you're going to throw me out of the window, you have to put a cushion down before you throw me out of the window. Not after you have thrown me out. They say, that cushion, let me come and find it for you. Because I'm already there with my broken bones. And I would tell you this because you can see from this that I participate in the Bring Back Our Girls sit out every Saturday. You just come out of this building, you turn right, go down Kingsway. You meet us every Saturday at Falomo, discussing. And many of our members are ordinary people from Nigeria. Some of them sweep the roads in Lagos. And they talk about, and I'm the one that is telling them, have you heard about this palliatives? Have you heard about this, the Onje Eko that the governor is doing for you? Have you heard? And they'll be telling me, the governor said that we street sweepers should each be given 10,000 naira extra per month. And they'll be telling me that some of us have not seen it at all. Some of us have had it twice. Some have had it for, but we have not had it for, and he said it was going to happen for six. So that, to me, if you are going to put in place palliatives and you don't bother to make sure that those palliatives are hitting the spot that they are intended to, I realize that people like me are supposed to suffer. I'm not at the top of the tree by any means, but the palliatives are not for you. But I think that when even the people who are, as I say, sweeping our streets, are complaining, they hear about there's a place you can go and you can have a free meal, and nobody knows where these free meals are, because everything that is sent out as a palliative passes through sticky fingers, and there are too many goddamn sticky fingers taking what is supposed to relieve us while we are going through the hell, hopefully through, not into, while we are going through hell, and that's the problem. So for me, it's not a matter of the street or being on the street. It's a matter of, if you have a policy and you are and you are not following through on it, then you need to review. I don't want, because in his book, Magnus talked about, he criticized Lai Mohammed for demarketing Nigeria as his first point of call. Yeah. And I don't want to demarket and say, and because I see that people, they wake up every morning, they listen to Ruben Abati's Arise morning show, and they get angry, and then they go out to face their day angry. That's why I wait till the afternoon to listen to it. But so I don't want us to be angry for nothing.
Ruben Abati. Now we know the cause of bad drivers in Lagos.
I want us to feel that there is a solution rather than nothing works, but we need to hear more of it, and rather than the sunlit uplands are there, and eventually, if you survive, you can make it better.
Thank you very much. Sam Amate, what is Tinubunomics, and is it working?
Well, I never heard the word Tinubunomics until I met Magnus Oyibe at a party, actually, and he said there was going to be a panel like this on Tinubunomics. Well, once he said that, I wrapped my head around what he was talking about. And it was clear to me that he was trying to find some perspective on Tinubunomics. And for us to understand Tinubunomics, you have to understand Tinubu himself, because that is the name from which the whole idea itself is coming. Who is Tinubu? What is his worldview about economics and so on? Well, Tinubu comes from two backgrounds. One of the background is that he believes in the laissez-faire economy. And two, he also believes in the grassroots. So if you want to bring the idea of Tinubunomics in perspective, you have to marry both the laissez-faire logic and also the grassroots logic, because from the grassroots you see him as a politician, and then from the from the laissez-faire perspective, you see him as his own way of tackling it and trying to marry the idea of free market with the concept of including the people generally. Now, how do you now marry that with his handling of the national economy? Well, Peter Sai started by saying that he came with the idea of bringing reforms of subsidy and the collapsing of the window. That is true, but in a sense, that is a little simplistic. A little simplistic in the way you handle it. You look at it in the context of what he inherited, what he met on the ground, and the person who explained, who captured the state of the economy when Tinubu became president is no other person than the former CBN governor and now governor of Anambra State, Charles Soludo, who said Tinubu met an economy which was like a dead horse standing. What does that tell you? It tells you that the economy was all but dead. An economy that was owing about 30 trillion naira in debt and had accounts all over the world in multiples of billions of naira, and that's when you translate them. There are some of them were as much as 500 million pounds. That was the one that we were told. So when you met an economy like that and you want to reform it, it's not going to be an easy path. But first, everybody understood that the subsidy regime was corrupt. Okay, if you leave it the way it was, then you have not started work. It was so you have to tackle the issue of fuel subsidy, and if you tackle it, it's not going to be painless. You have to handle the issue of the dual window of the currency, because people were round tripping, and we all know what round tripping was. So we met a situation that was actually a mess in 2023. So the important part of Tinubunomics is the audacity to actually confront a situation that is, in fact, was inevitable. The idea of removing subsidy is not original. The issue of collapsing the window is not original, because they are all issues we all agreed on during the presidential campaigns, that they were no longer sustainable. Now, one of the thing you do with the removal of fuel subsidy is that you make a lot of money from it and make the money available. Now, what happened was that the state governments have been receiving about double and sometimes more than double of the money that they were receiving before. Why has anybody not asked their state governors, what have you done with this money that you have been given?
Thanks for watching. Bye.